What's going on, guys? Welcome along to another video, and today I am taking out this beautiful machine, Ducati's 698 Mono. And yes, as you can tell, it is in the RVE colours. Just look at that. Whee! Today I thought I'd do the video a little bit different. Normally, if you've seen any of my other reviews, I'll do most of the stats and figures whilst out on the bike. But today I thought I'd do most of the talking part, as in the stats side of it, off the bike, and then we can just enjoy some riding on the bike. The engine on this is pushing out 659cc with 77.5 brake horsepower, and that is the most in this class. And I think it's 63 Newton meters of torque. Another good thing with this bike is it's got an extended service interval period. I think it's 2 years or 9,000 miles. The standard version of this only comes in one colour, which is the red, and that's going to set you back about £10,995. Or if you want a little bit extra, you can get the RVE colours, and this thing is £11,890. I think personally, either in Ducati red or this, they both look really, really nice. I'd probably put my money on this just a little bit, you know, make it a little bit different. Let's talk about some of the electronics then. So starting at the front, we have got daytime running lights, LEDs, in this front head unit, and the head unit will have kind of two C shapes. Ah, there we go, beautiful. It's kind of like a dual C shape light. At the rear, we've carried on that dual C shape. That light is really tucked in right under the rear tail unit, and it does have a pretty big number plate bracket. Personally, yeah, I'd probably get rid of the number plate bracket just to sleeken up that rear that little bit more. Before moving back to the front, just look at those twin exhausts. Looking at handlebar then, on the left hand side, this is where we got our rider modes, and then for simple enough is the indicator. You're going to push and hold that in, and then that, probably won't be able to see it, just there on the right hand side, that's where the rider modes come up, and then you use the up and down an arrow to pick which one you want, and then push that indicator in one more time. The screen is small at only 3.8 inches, but actually the information that Ducati have provided on the screen, it's enough that I'm not worried about the screen being so small. Whereas if you've ever seen the KTM 690, that pretty much had the speed and your indicators, and that was it. Obviously on a bike like this, we do have wheelie control, and that goes from levels 1 up to 4. We've also got traction control, which we can adjust. Moving on to the brakes and suspension then, we do have 45mm Marzocchi fully adjustable forks. There are clickers just in there on both sides on top of the forks. Now this does only have a single, I think it's 330 at the front, but with these Brembos, they're absolutely phenomenal, even just on a single disc. To be honest, I think if you had a duals, you'd be doing endos left, right and centre. And then lastly, we do have a 245 single at the rear. Now I'm 6'1", I'm not short, but this seat height is tall. The seat comes in at 904mm, which, as you can tell, I do not have flat feet, and that's both sides. I can get one foot down, but then I'm just about tiptoes on the other side. You can get a lower seat, which drops this to, I believe, 889mm. And then if you want to go a little bit further, because you're a little bit shorter, you can get the suspension dropped as well to the shorter suspension. And that is going to drop it to 849mm. So you do have the flexibility and the capability, if you are a little bit of a shorter rider, to still ride one of these. But I can say Zoe at 5'4", 5'5", at an absolute push with her boots on. She did used to ride my KTM 690, and that was a stock seat. So even as a shorter rider, it's one of those things. She's comfortable with riding a taller bike. I know, I get it. Easy to say from someone who's 6'1". We're going to have a small tank on this because it is slim and it barely touches out from outside the engine. There's 12 litres in this. So I don't know how far it's going to get you to a tank. Because let's face it, this type of bike, in this type of weather, you just want to ride it and have a bit of fun. So yeah, 12 litres, mileage unknown. But being only 151 kilos without fuel, so about 160 kilos with, this thing is super light and really really easy to maneuver around the car park. Well, I think that's all the stats and figures. That's enough talking around the bike. Let's get on and ride it. Looking at this single cylinder lump, if you don't have it in the right gear, it will let you know about it. It really starts to chug, and you got to be quick onto the clutch to make sure you don't end up stalling it. The good thing with this bike is it's not just an all-out supermoto race style bike. We do have 4 different rider modes. We've got sport, road, urban and wet, and I have currently got it in sport. And yeah, with this single cylinder, that throttle pickup is pretty good. You do need to be careful when you're trying to ride a little bit slower, a little bit more tame through these 20-30 mile an hour zones. Any of those little bumps that will knock you back, and you have a bit of a whiskey throttle on your hands. But when you are out of those 20s and out of those 30s, this thing is fun. And this kind of day, lovely dry roads. And this is where this bike is made for. It's not made for long distance, it's not made to be comfortable. Because let me tell you, this seat is not comfortable at all. Pretty much exactly how I felt on my KTM 690 SMC. I can confirm, I am not made for a bike like this. As much as I like them, like the look of them, like the idea of them, they just not comfortable for me at all, and I know that, and it's okay. I accept it. Doesn't mean I can't test ride one and enjoy it. So I was in third there, I've got to pull away. Ah, Mr. Farmer. I feel like seeing me, you could have waited. Don't you? Where this bike only weighs about 160 kilos wet. It is so light. Absolutely flicks from side to side. Quick shifter is pretty good. Bangs through those gears quite nicely. Front end gets a little bit light if you get aggressive on the throttle on the exit. I do have wheelie control in 1. I think 4 is the highest. You know you're having fun when you just stop talking, try to do a review, and I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying those twisties back there. Yeah, this thing is so light. The flickability and the handling of this is amazing. Even though we've only got a tiny, I think it's 3.8 inch LCD, the 690, you just saw your speed and your indicators, and that was pretty much it. Whereas this, they've actually packed it with information that you need. Your revs, your speed, your gear, your rider modes. You've then got your, on the left hand side, it shows you information for your wheelie control, your traction control, temperature, odometer. There's a lot of information on this small screen, which that was always a kind of bugbear of mine for the 690, is that I felt like I was riding a dirt bike, even though
It wasn't. It just didn't give me enough kind of day-to-day technology, whereas this, Ducati have done well to get all that information on this screen.
I'm really liking the looks of this bike. I love the twin exhaust at the rear, a nice set of pipes on there would liven this thing up, because on tick over, it's not the loudest.
If you're expecting to see much out of these mirrors, don't. They are very vibey. You can see there's a car behind, but you can't tell how many cars are behind, because it looks like there's 3 or 4. They have done a good job at keeping the vibrations down through the pegs and handlebars, but when you are running a little bit more spirited, you definitely can feel some, especially through the seat as well. When it is a single cylinder lump like this, it's kind of what you expect. There is quite a bit of dive on the suspension at the front when you do start grabbing some of that front brake. As we said, fully adjustable, and I am not a skinny chicken at 115 kilos, so obviously this won't be set up for me. If I was to buy this bike, that'd definitely be one of the first things I'd done, is set this thing up. So I can confirm with the wheelie control, number 4 is the highest, it's the most intrusive. And even at number 1, it still cuts in. I don't know how to turn it off. Super tight turning circle. Means filtering in this and running this through a town will be so easy. The clutch is nice and light on this, hydraulic clutch. What's the point in buying a big fucking car if you don't learn how to drive it? Oh. So when lightly comparing this to my old 690 SMC, actually that is also a large single cylinder supermoto style bike that had the same kind of bottom end. If you weren't on the clutch or the throttle, it was very jerky. The seats on both are both just as bad as each other. I'd probably say the 690 was worse, but still the Ducati one is a little bit. I think it's just the style of seating, and I'm heavy, so I get it. Looking at these two bikes, the looks of them, I think this wins, the Ducati wins over the 690. I can't remember how much the 690 was, but I'm going to say similar price points. So if I was in the market for a supermoto style bike, my money's on Ducati. Well guys, I hope you've found this video useful. If you have, give it a thumbs up. More importantly, subscribe to the channel. We've got to keep growing throughout 2024, and there's nothing else to say. But until the next one, ride safe.